to the future home of Great Hearts Roosevelt. The land that you see around me will soon be transformed into a tuition-free liberal arts academy that will serve kindergarten through 8th grade to start, adding a grade each year until we serve kindergarten through 12th grade. We would love for you to apply for the 22-23 school year and become a founding family of Great Hearts Roosevelt. You can do that by going to our website, www.greatheartsroosevelt.org.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening. This is a Great Hearts Roosevelt Information Night. It's an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about our vision of education with the intention of making sure this is a good fit for you and your family. And we hope to provide you with that information and give you a sense of who we are and what we do. My name is Stephen Philbaum. I'm the headmaster of the K-5 program called the Archway program at Great Hearts Roosevelt.
And my name is Tony Cruz. I'm the prep headmaster, 6th through 8th grade program for Great Hearts Roosevelt.
Wonderful. And so we work closely together in building the campus and laying down the program. And we're very thankful to be here tonight. So if you are already a registered Roosevelt family, welcome. This might be a repeat of some of the information you've heard before. You're welcome to be here. Our audience is more geared towards those who maybe don't know about Great Hearts and want to learn more. They're intrigued. They've heard some things from friends. And so now you're ready for the next step and you're trying to see if this is a good fit for you all. And so to begin, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Headmaster Cruz, to talk about our vision. What is classical education and our mission statement?
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, so our mission statement really is to cultivate in the hearts of our students a pursuit of the good, the true, and the beautiful. And classical education really is an idea that human beings and students in particular are more than just their minds. That when we want to educate a child, what we must do is move beyond just thinking that information alone is sufficient. Instead, we want to address the mind, the body, the heart of the child. And so classical education is our pursuit to do that. We want our students to know that we love them as human beings. We want them to know that the most important thing about them is how they grow to be virtuous people, good people, people who contribute to their communities, to their cities, to their society. And we do that using a very rigorous academic framework, which is a pursuit of like the Western canon and curriculum with that. But at the end of the day, the most important thing about our work is that our students leave our campus knowing that they are loved and that they are capable of doing what is right, what is true, what is noble in their lives, and then pursuing that with everything that they have with conviction, and again, with a desire to help their fellow man, their other people in their community, and to do it to flourish as human beings, right? That the deepest sense of flourishing and happiness is actually found when they're pursuing virtue, or the transcendentals, truth, goodness, and beauty, and they're doing it to help other people reach their full potential as well. And so we have the honor of doing that at Great Hearts Roosevelt, and it's a joy to get to do that for kindergarten through 8th grade as we start, and then opening up a grade level every year after that.
Great. Yeah, and it's something we spend a lot of time talking about, classical education and our vision, just because we're so very passionate about it. The mission statement is something, right? To cultivate the hearts and minds of students through the pursuit of truth, goodness, and beauty, right? It's lofty. It can sound like a kitschy phrase of sorts, but really it informs everything we do in a very intentional way. That's something I think we can safely say is we're very passionate about this. It's something we're always trying to achieve. We'll always be striving to better realize this vision. And whether it's the books we choose, how we design every aspect of our program, and especially in the case of Great Hearts Roosevelt, we're thankful the way we design the building, down to most importantly the faculty that we hire. Right? That's guiding our kind of guiding North Star, that vision. I'll add too, regarding classical education, that this is the education that has stood the test of time. Right? This is what our founding fathers were receiving, and allowed them to lead so courageously and speak so eloquently and lead so persuasively, as well as Martin Luther King Jr., right? This was an education that he received and allowed him to speak in such a persuasive and powerful way and help move a community. And so we're not doing anything new. We're going back to those things that are tried and true. But we do believe it's something that unfortunately has not been as available as it needs to be. Around 100 years ago or so, different visions of education started to take fold, and that has, over time, kind of proven to be limited. And I think we see many families, many students, many faculty longing for something more. And that's where this vision comes in, to go back to things that are substantive. And I often, when you speak in tours, one of the things I like to say is, we don't exist to prepare students for college, but we do that very, very well. And we can talk about our college statistics and our graduation rate. For example, in our most recent news, our Title I school, Maryvale, just graduated 100% of their seniors. It's unheard of. Unheard of, generally speaking, but as well, especially in that community, in that community where it's difficult to find students graduating. So our students are getting into college. They're being awarded scholarships. They're going into the best schools in the world. But it comes back down to this: that we're trying to enrich students' lives, and we want to choose a curriculum that is meaningful and will help them become better people. When you focus on the right things, the rest of that falls into place. So specifically regarding our construction, we just wanted to clarify and share with you some exciting developments too. Our school is no longer a dirt lot. You'll be pleased to know our construction is coming along very strong. You can see a drive-through of some of the developments here. This was from recently, but inwardly within the building, the classrooms are being put together. We have a gymnasium, a multi-purpose room. There's going to be a football field, right? The outward facade is beginning to take place and take shape. And it will be beautiful. It will be sharing a classical aesthetic, a classical look, including beautiful columns to represent the inner sanctuary that we're beginning to trying to create for our students. So there'll be an opportunity soon to visit the campus, but we're going to let our construction crews spend the next month wrapping things up, and we'll be getting the keys mid to late July. So we're very excited about that. Now, to transition, I'd love to share with you a little bit about the K-5 program, and I'll turn it over to Headmaster Cruz for the 6th through 8th. The K-5 is about laying a foundation, the building blocks of education. That comes through, most importantly, teaching reading and writing, right? Learning the basics through a systematic phonics program called Spalding. In recent years, we've really turned away to other kind of experimental methods in reading, really, since the 50s. And we've seen reading decline over the decades. And we're returning to this tried and true method of teaching systematic phonics. When it comes to our math program, I know if you talk to most adults, they'll say, I wasn't a math person, or I hated math. You might get that more often. Really, I believe that generally speaking, we've done a disservice to our students over the past decades as well in math instruction. We haven't gotten to the meaning of math and the beauty of mathematics by teaching students why things are the way they are through a Socratic method and through a process of inquiry. Rather, we've taught them to memorize procedures and rinse and repeat those over the years. And so we use Singapore math as the foundation for our math program, which helps students discover the meaning of mathematics than rather merely memorize it. I truly believe this. It's a little audacious, but I think if a student understands math, they'll love it. It's intrinsically joyful. And if they're not loving math, it means we haven't done our work in helping them to understand it. Our literature, right? We go back to the classics, Little House on the Prairie, Chronicles of Narnia. Our students memorize poems, classic poetry, the Lewis Carroll's poems and Robert Frost's poems. They recite those to their peers. Our students participate in spring and winter concerts. They model beautiful works of art and learn how to draw and paint. Their students learn Latin. And so this is a holistic education where our students are being immersed in a liberal arts environment with the goal of cultivating wonder. Students inherently ask questions, they ask why, they look at the world through the eyes of wonder. And our job is to stoke that fire, equip them with the skills they need, like learning to write cursive, for example, to write beautiful penmanship, and most importantly, to cultivate a heart of virtue. That in being in an environment in which they're surrounded by true, good, and beautiful things, with good people, good teachers, who I would put my own children in front of. That's what we do, and all of these things work together to create an environment that enriches the children. And that's the vision of the K through 5 in a nutshell. There's so much more to say, but I definitely want to give space for Headmaster Cruz to talk about the prep program as well.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Yeah, that pursuit of knowledge and that way of pursuing knowledge continues when we move into the prep program. Prep for us begins in 6th grade. And the very beautiful thing about it is that our program it's not separated into middle school, high school, like public district schools. Sort of tend to separate those. For us, when we think about our program, we think a lot about the 6th through 12th grade track in the years. And so 6th, 7th, and 8th grade for us is largely preparatory for the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade years. What I mean by that is that our curriculum in English, history, math, and science is all creating the basis for what kids will learn later. In literature and composition, they begin to learn how to read and annotate and understand the text to have good dialogues with each other for seminars that will come later in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. They begin to learn sentence diagramming and how to write good sentences and write good paragraphs and write essays, so that when they get into their later years, they're able to articulate their thoughts with more clarity and persuasively. In history, they're giving a broad overview of all from medieval, ancient to American history, so that when they get into humane letters in 9th grade, they have a good understanding of where primary source documents sort of came from and the context for that, so they can have more, again, meaningful dialogue. In mathematics, you'll see here that we go from pre-algebra to intermediate algebra to advanced algebra. This is largely foundational for work that they'll do later. We work with students at every level that they're at, and we do our best to help them understand why something works instead of just having them memorize algorithms or equations or tricks, right? We want them to understand why PEMDAS works. We want them to understand why numbers do what they do, so that when they're confronted with something that doesn't make sense or is not clear, they're not afraid. They understand how to move through that. And through science, physical life, and earth science, they're really experiencing what we would say is sort of a survey of different things, right? In physical science, they're understanding an introduction to the matter of things. Life science, it's a precursor to biology, so they're understanding what life is. And earth science as a precursor to physics, where they're getting a sense of the physical laws around them, and they're learning how to use and understand the scientific method, so that, again, when they get to 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th grade, they're using all of these skills that they've learned in 6th, 7th, and 8th to start having deeper and more meaningful conversations. And that's not where we end. We also do a lot of work with language, fine arts, and athletics. So all of our students participate in a fine arts, kindergarten through 12th grade. And in 6th grade, here it says music and drama, but for us it's music for 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then studio art for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Our students will be introduced to Latin in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And because this is the first year for a lot of our students, everyone is taking Latin 1. 6th and 7th and 8th graders are all taking Latin 1. So just to sort of calm anyone's nerves if they think that their student is going to be in Latin 3 for 8th grade. We understand that this is a new venture for people. We want to make it as the transition as easy and simple as possible. And we move away from physical education. I know it's listed here, but in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we move into more competitive athletics. We want our students to start competing in sports on teams, and we'll talk later a little bit about what those teams are. But again, the idea there is that we're moving away from just practicing fundamentals like they might in PE in K through 5th grade, and they start using those skills to start pushing themselves to the cusp of what they're able to athletically. And so that's the 6th through 12th grade program in a nutshell. And Here we'll talk a little bit next about special services and ESS.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tony, for sharing all of that. Regarding special services, I think the big picture to start with is you might hear this and say, "This sounds very advanced. I'm not sure. My child is maybe. I'm not sure if they're ready for this, or perhaps you have some concerns about some intermittent education that's happened or brokenness over the past few years with COVID." My answer to any questions regarding is this for my child is this. If this is an education that you would like for your child, it is our job to work with you and partner with you to help bridge those gaps. This was an education that was once reserved for a private elite, and now we're through the charter system able to make this available to everyone. And so we're not a school for honor students, we're an honor school for every student. And so that's our way of committing to you and saying, we'll help your children learn how to read to bridge those gaps. And that's for every child. Now, specifically, we also have many children who have, maybe disadvantages, disabilities that require extra special support. And so we do, just as any publicly funded school, we have a special education team who works with students who have both academic, behavioral, emotional disabilities. We also have 504 services for those who need extra supports. And so very much this is something that I just don't want you to think that this is going to be a barrier for you. It's actually a passion of ours. One of the things I'm most proud of about our schools is that we give care and attention to the individual child. And so this is not a sink or swim curriculum. Yes, it's going to require a commitment on your part as a family, but the commitment is not, it's the belief that this is the right education for your child and that partnership there. So there's going to be obviously many questions you may have about your own child, and I'd encourage you to reach out to us and we can have a one-on-one conversation, or we can connect you with our ESS team, and they'd be willing to sit down and talk about the ways in which we can support your children. But I'll tell you right now, starting a new school, 9 times out of 10, the questions I get are, hey, do you think my child's going to be okay entering into 4th grade or 5th grade? So everyone's on a level playing field right now. And that's where we come in to do this exciting work of bringing everyone up to speed. And that's what gets our teachers up in the morning. That's what we do. So I just wanted to give some encouragement there and, welcome you to talk to us further about the sort of questions you have in your mind about your child accessing this education. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Headmaster Cruz to talk a bit about athletics and our extracurricular program for our school at large.
Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, one of the most exciting things that we will get to do at Great Hearts Roosevelt is build an athletic program from the ground up, quite literally, right? We are finishing work on a full-length soccer and football field. We are paving the ground and preparing it for the network's first full track around the football field, which will come in a few years. We've just finished building, and it's much bigger than I thought it would be, which is exciting. An indoor gym that has a full basketball court for volleyball, basketball, and then space for pull-out bleachers, which is exciting, largely because we want to develop at our school a deep sense of pride of what it means to go out on the field, to do our best, to give it our all, and then to grow from those experiences. Athletics has been and always will be connected to our curriculum in that we want our athletes to understand what it means to put in work, to be successful because you put in work, to be okay with failure, to win with honor, to lose with dignity, and understand that the most important thing is not necessarily whether we're winning or we're losing, but that when we're playing with integrity, that we are demonstrating to our teammates and to our opponents what it looks like to be people of high virtue. And to do that and to set an example for everybody that comes onto our campus about what it means to be respectful and civil athletes. I think that there's a lot of work that we have the opportunity to do today in modeling for our kids what a virtuous athlete looks like, what it looks like to understand that it's okay to be called for a foul or to be called for an error, and that's not wrong, that's not bad. And even if it's unfair, that the most important thing is how we react to that and how we modify ourselves to be better than those things. So it's very exciting for us to do that. And so for the prep program, we are excited to have a full-time an athletic director that's coming on board to help develop that program. We'll play sports like we'll have sports like flag football at the start, soccer, boys and girls basketball, volleyball, track and field, cross country. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few, so that's okay. But what I want to at least just demonstrate to you is that we want to build a program that we can be proud of. And having a program that we can be proud of, again, doesn't mean that we are champions at the end that have never lost a game, but rather that at the end of a season, whatever season it is, our athletes will have grown in more confidence of themselves, will have learned what it looks like to rely on teammates, what it looks like to lose and to hold that and be okay with that and to grow from that. What it looks like to appreciate when another team wins has done so because of hard work or a work ethic, and to want to be challenged to grow themselves. And so again, athletics is always an extension of our curriculum. It is co-curricular. It is always going to do the same thing that our academic program is going to do, which is to help our students and to cultivate in their hearts a desire to pursue goodness, truth, and beauty on the football field, just like in the classroom. So we are excited to be able to offer that, and we're looking forward to being on that field on Friday nights and in the gym whenever we can. And so, to go back from that, we'll go back to Headmaster Stephen, who's going to talk a little bit about location, grade levels, and growth, and other things.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Tony. And if I may quickly just add on that note, we might talk about it more in the question and answer session, but we do have sports beginning at the Archway level as well. So we'll talk a little bit about a K through 5 and the ways in which we get students engaging in competitive but loving teamwork at an early age. So our location. So we are thankful to be the westmost Great Hearts school in the Valley. As many of you are aware, Buckeye is the fastest growing city in the nation. The West Valley is just truly exploding, and there's so much excitement about this growth to make family housing available out here. And so this has been a vision for ours as the West Valley has grown, as Buckeye has grown. We've long had our eyes out here to make this offer available. And so we're going to be located near the cross streets of Jackrabbit and Yuma. For those who are less familiar with the area, I like to say not too far from the 303 and the 101, 303 and the I-10, where those meet. And so it's going to be able to serve anyone within that vicinity. Again, just like any charter school, we do not need to, it's not based on location. So anyone who is interested, right, this is open enrollment for everyone. So we'll begin grades K through 8. And we have gonna have 4 sections of kinder through second. Our first year expand as the years go on to have a full 4-section school that is 30 students in every classroom, with both a lead teacher and assistant teacher in every classroom at the K through 5 level. So it's a 1 to 15 student teacher ratio at the elementary school. And we'll be 30 students in a class and 4 classes in a grade strong by the end. For the prep school, it'll begin as 6 through 8 and then grow from there into a whole 6 through 12 academy. And the reason for that is we want to be very intentional about how we grow. I keep coming back to that word, intentionality. We want to be intentional about how we grow our culture and our school. And so starting small allows us to grow that in distinct stages. And so know that K through 8, we still have spots available. We'll talk a little bit about enrollment, but the goal is to truly be a school that's available to anyone in the West Valley who's interested in this education. And we're excited about that growth. So from here, love to talk about enrollment a little bit, and just, if you'd like to learn more, how you can get connected with us. And so it's fairly simple. If you come to our website, greatheartsroosevelt.org, submit an application. And we have an open enrollment policy, which means, right, there's, like I said, this is for everyone. There's no pre-tests or screenings. It's simply submit your application. There is a wait list in some grades and not in others. So there's still spots. So now is the time. It's a great time to come in. And from there, we have, if you see on the website too, our office managers, or Tony and myself, would be happy to walk you through the enrollment process. And if there's something in between, right, we imagine there's probably going to be some questions before you commit to that enrollment process. Please just reach out, and we'd love to just connect with you. Our goal, we're very passionate, as you can see. We love talking about this work because we pour our hearts into it, but we don't want to sell you anything, right? We're not here to talk as if we have everything ironed out, and there's there's a striving for an ideal that we'll always be working towards, and we want to be honest with you about what we do well, and so that you can decide if this is right for your family. So with that, I think we're ready to turn, if I'm not incorrect, to some general questions and answers that we received pre-populated before for those who already pre-registered. And we'll also have a little time for any of those impromptu questions. If you're watching, you can punch those into the comment section. We'll see that, and we'll curate those questions. So I'll take this first one, and then Tony, please join in. How do you help kids in IEPs and 504 plans? So I think I spoke to the general vision that we're committed to this. Well, how does that work? Well, I think it's mostly going to be through a lot of dialogue, conversation, discussion between you as a parent, between the teacher, between and other representatives in the school. We have, like any Arizona publicly funded school, there's processes, there's procedures to make sure that no students slip through the cracks. We're committed to that process with joy, but it's really about building trust. It's and having that conversation early on. So especially if you know your child's already on 504 or IEP, we're going to be receiving that information, but you don't need to wait. You can start that conversation with us now by initiating that through email. We also screen and identify our students, and so really early on, in the school year, we're looking for certain signs that is there something more here, right? We expect every child is going to be adapting to this new environment, but our teachers are trained to look out for something that might require more specialized instruction. So wherever possible, we're committed to what's called the least invasive environment, right? The least invasive intervention, meaning we like to keep our students in the classroom, and we pull students out for special services when we need to, or do push-in services, right? Even provide one-on-one aids, whatever it takes to help meet those gaps. So I think that's in a nutshell. I don't know, Tony, if you want to add to that.
Yeah, there's not a lot to add. I think that what we want to make sure we communicate is that we will love and take care of every single student that comes on our campus. And with students that have 504s or IEPs, we will work even more diligently along the SPED teachers and gen ed teachers to make sure that those students, again, get what they need to be successful, because we do believe that they can, even if we have to modify things a little bit, access the same rich curriculum that every other student can. And so we've seen it in action across the network over the past 15 years. We have a good idea of how to make that happen. It is good work that we do, and we're excited to do that. So I think we'll see now what the next question here is. Do you offer dual language programs, and what about gifted programs? I think I want to make sure I understand dual language here. We do have our students beginning in kindergarten work through languages, and when in prep, when they get to sixth grade, they do begin taking Latin as part of their curriculum throughout the year. And the goal is that they learn Latin 6th, 7th, and 8th grade as part of the classical tradition. When they get to high school, they will have, depending on what we can offer, depending on what demand there is, they get a chance to either take things like advanced Latin or a modern Romance language. Either we'll have one with whether it's Spanish or French. But the idea there is that our students are participating in learning a language. We think and we know that doing that helps them to develop discipline and an appreciation for what it means to communicate ideas clearly from one person to another. Learning a language that's not your own does a really good job of doing that. So that's about as dual language as we'll get here. The students will learn that when they enter 6th grade through 12th, and even in kindergarten through 5th grade, they are participating in learning a language. When we ask the question, is there a gifted program? what we like to say is that our curriculum is an honors curriculum. And that is probably a distinction from public district schools that sets us apart. In public district schools, they might, identify your student as having maybe more potential than another student, or requiring, sort of identifying them as different and needing to be challenged harder. I think what we believe is that each student, every person that comes through our doors, has the ability and the potential to access the highest levels of our curriculum. We are committed, absolutely committed, to helping everybody to do that. So there's no gifted program. There's no distinctive program within our schools. Every student participates in what we would call the curriculum, which in public district schools might be considered an honors curriculum. It does prepare them, like Ambassador Philipon said earlier, for college academically and in the rigor that it presents. But we don't have any sort of gifted programs for your student to participate. I would challenge you to be patient and then to watch what happens when your student is in our school and in our classrooms, and just watch how much they are challenged to push themselves to understand what we're presenting to them. So that's a good question. Thank you for asking it.
Okay. What sports and extracurriculars will you have? So I do give a brief disclaimer, which is to say we always look at our teachers' interests and offerings at the K through 5 level. We have some standard things we often see, and so it might change semester to semester. But historically, we've offered things like chess club, cooking club, ukulele club, gardening club, things that are wholesome and life-giving, and there's a lot of opportunity for students to try out new things. When it comes to sports at the K through 5 level, we have what's called we call it aviator sports, because that's at the K through 5. That's going to be our mascot, and students have done basketball, soccer, flag football, and they can compete intramurally with other Great Hearts schools. And so that's going to be dynamic. I hesitate to commit and say I know exactly which ones we're going to have, because it really depends on where our teachers' offerings are. But that is something that we have a really rich offering for. And I think you can already count on chess club and what's called Young Rembrandts, or an art club. I think we already have some of those set up, and we'll be working on that over the next month once our teachers are kind of coming out of training and we're able to set them up with clubs. How does enrollment work? Well, either one of us can speak to this. I think we mentioned it shortly. It might be a little underwhelming. Go online and log on to the website. If you'd like to know generally how it works, there is a window where you get in called open enrollment. We are past that time. So what would normally happen is during that enrollment period, all families are entered in. There's a lottery, and out of that lottery comes the wait list, and we start making offers. We're past that lottery time, so it means you can get in, but you'd be heading to what would be called the bottom of the wait list. I don't let that discourage you. There are some current openings, and that list moves. Some families move. Some families, find that they're not able to stay at the school for a various number of reasons. So please apply. The sooner the better. And if you have questions before then, we'll help you out. What can we expect going into 4th grade? I can speak to this specifically. I wonder, Tony, if you want to add anything about the prep, because the principles would be unique. But in 4th grade, and I'll just kind of mention, coming from a public school now, there's going to be a learning curve about student culture. And so things like learning, I'm wearing a uniform every day. We pay attention to dress code. It's not done in an authoritarian way. It's done with a spirit of grace. But new ways of operating in the campus are going to be different for them. New curriculum, right? New vocabulary tied to that curriculum is going to be something they adapt to. And even different ways of relating to the teacher. For example, we don't talk about pop culture right now in our academies. And so that's a way of protecting our students from kind of the craziness of the world out there, and focusing only on those tried and true books, tried and true pieces of music, those things that have stood the test of time and enriched children, rather than the things out there that might be exciting or fun, but are fleeting. And so with that, I say those are some things that you can see to adapt. Know that we'll be with you every step of the way. And the question in your mind as a 4th grade parent, is a question that every fourth grade parent is asking. And so I say that to encourage you and say, we recognize that, and it's going to be our job to help guide the way.
I think we can answer this one pretty quickly. What kind of speech services do we offer? I know that we recently hired, for those of our students who have in their plans the service for speech therapy, a full-time speech therapist, speech and language therapist, for those students who have those identified needs. And again, this is sort of under the umbrella of the ways that we serve all of our students and work with students and families to provide whatever they need to make sure that they're accessing our curriculum and to make sure that they're not being penalized or faulted for anything that they might need extra support in. And so we do for those students that have had those identified needs, and we're excited about that. And we'll continue, like I said, we'll continue making sure that we do provide and identify any needs that students have and support them in accessing our curriculum. Very smoothly, we believe. That's what I just want to say. Just kidding. I mean, it's not work. It is our goal.
Yeah. So with pickup and drop off, we have thankfully 25 acres of queuing to work with, and what we'll do is we have a great plan. We've done at our campuses, where we use a specialized app. Your name is tied to a system where you'd have to be an approved parent or someone who you've delegated that role to in writing to do a pickup system where we use placards. So that's all to say there's a window of time where you can drive through and pick up your child, or drive through and drop off your child. There'll be very specific instructions on what that queuing line looks like. How do I know, that exactly where to be at what time? We're going to actually have another informational night geared towards all existing Roosevelt families that will walk them through that the week before the first day of school. We also have our stalling right now. If you drive by, you'll see there's not a stoplight yet. We're working on that. So we actually are going to be providing a stoplight. We're going to have many faculty out there walking students, making sure everyone's safe. And so it's a very intentional plan. It's going to be relatively speaking smooth. The experience of that the first week or two is just like any new opening. It's going to take some time to refine things, to give everyone an opportunity to learn the process. So we're going to be saying this, be patient, gracious that first week or two. And our hope, right, I think we can commit to this, is within about 30 minutes or so, you'll be able to have your students picked up. So how does grading work?
Does grading work? I'll start for the prep, and then Headmaster Philibom can talk about the kindergarten through fifth grade. For us, our grading philosophy is really geared again towards understanding the whole student, and understanding that being a successful student for us doesn't always mean, and only mean, that you have all the right answers, that you never make mistakes, and that you get 100% on quizzes and tests. Instead, for us, our grading philosophy does take into account things like effort, things like growth, right? We do grade homework, we do grade classroom participation, we do grade tests and quizzes, but we also grade things that might not be quite as quantifiable, right? We do look at a student and ask the question, in what ways has this student grown in their own desire, in their own willingness, and in their own effort to try more, to push themselves. And so our grading is objective to a degree, in that we are taking these numbers of these quantifiable things, homework, classroom participation, tests, and quizzes, and then we're also adding to it a very humane element, which is, again, like I said, our teachers will get to know your students individually, get to see the efforts, and will push them to continue to grow and do their best. And so for the prep, we found that is a more humane, and I think just a more realistic understanding of like how the students are growing in our curriculum and what they're accessing, and giving everyone a chance to be identified as a student that is an A student, or an exemplar student, someone that's doing their best, working hard, putting in the effort, putting in the hours, and then showing work for it as a result. And so I'm excited for that. I'm proud that we do that, because I know that, again, in a lot of other schools, it's very just numbers driven. The number is what you get, and the most important thing is that you turn in the homework, whether it's on time or late, because all that matters is getting it in and not learning. The most important thing that we want our students to do is to love to learn. And so the degree that our grading impacts that, we will make sure that that's the outcome for your student, that they come to Great Hearts Roosevelt, and that they leave eventually when they graduate with a deep heart to learn, to love learning. And learning means it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to grow from mistakes. It's okay to do your best, and to succeed sometimes, and then to fail others. It's okay to do that, because that's how we grow and that's how we learn. So that's, I know, how we do it for 6th to 8th grade, but I'll step out and let Headmaster Philip talk about kindergarten through 5th.
Yeah, I mean, the principles are the same. There's a degree to which, I would almost say I wish we didn't have to do grades, right? Because I think a lot can be lost in translation. What does a C mean? Is that a student who is striving for excellence and have actually done a wonderful job, but they have some struggles that prevented that? Or is a student who's very capable and, right, perhaps they just haven't exerted the effort they needed to, and we kind of know what that means. So I would just add that we're really about conversation and dialogue here. So we're going to be proactively building relationship and talking with you early on and often about the progress of your child. We're happy to set up a meeting anytime. Please reach out to us or pick up the phone and have a conversation. We write narrative evaluations that accompany our grades, so that you don't just see letters and numbers, but you can actually see, what does the child notice? What does the teacher notice about my child? And then finally, we actually have conferences right after the first quarter. So that's something we do, and make sure that even if we haven't already met, and hopefully we'll have had a chance to, you'll have that FaceTime with your child's teacher right after the first quarter, so we can start the year off strong, as we've kind of worked through learning to get to know your children after those first 9 weeks.
Yeah. There's another question. Oh, sorry, I missed the question that's popped up on the screen. Oh, we're out of pre-pop. Sorry, we're out of pre-populated questions. There's another question that's been asked about the neighborhoods near the school. I think one of the things that we're most excited about is being a neighborhood school, right? Like, we're actually in neighborhoods that are growing and that will continue to grow, and that's really exciting. So there will be, as part of our pickup and drop off, you won't be required to go by vehicle. We will absolutely communicate the pathway for students who ride their bikes and who walk to get from the sidewalk that's located by the street to their front door safely. Well, Headmaster Philip already said this, but we will have faculty members out ensuring that students are being safe once they get onto our campus. Making sure that they're following where the paths are, where the sidewalks are. But yeah, absolutely, your student can walk onto campus. We will have paths. We will make sure that those are clear. We will communicate those in advance so that everybody's on the same page, whether you're dropping them off by vehicle or whether they're riding their bikes or walking. And so, yeah, we're excited that we get a chance to do that.
All right. With that, will parents be able to take the child into the classroom for drop-off after the first day? So that's a great question. We want to be transparent and open up our campus in many ways. We also need to be intentional about our operations on the first day. So we're going to have a meet the teacher that's going to happen August 8th. That will allow you to walk into the school, to meet the child's teacher, to shake their hands, to get to know them. We'll have some opportunity to walk through first day procedures before then. You can take pictures with your child in their classroom and at their desks. Their desks will be ready for them, waiting with their EduKit supplies. Yeah, more to talk about there if you do sign up. But that's all to say, on the first day, we will not be allowing students, our families to come into the school. Operationally and logistically, that is just not going to allow us to start off strong in terms of making sure our students know where to go on the first day. And so we have a closed campus policy with specific procedures that will allow students and to be visited by their parents for various reasons. Reading groups, for example, in kindergarten, or perhaps you're a parent volunteer who's helping with the lunch program. So we have protocols that would allow you to have some access, but we want to make sure we're following that protocols and we're not just opening up the campus broadly speaking to have many parents coming in at the same time, except for very specific after-school events and that sort of thing. So with that, I think it's probably fair to, there's some questions about safety. And that's a very fair question. It's on everyone's minds right now, I think, in the country. It's something I can share as headmasters. It has been on our minds every year, always, right? It's something we're constantly thinking about. So, broad strokes of this, we have, school safety plans that are regularly reviewed by Great Hearts, various drills that we practice, that we, review in accordance with local law enforcement, school safety coordinator. And so in our case, we're thankful that we actually have a school safety coordinator who had been in law enforcement for many years. Student parents, like I said, aren't allowed on campus except through the front doors. It's a closed campus. In the front doors, there's going to be an entry vestibule where you actually have to be cleared through a particular program called Raptor that actually does a live background check. And then only then can you go through the next doors, which allow you access into the front office. And then even then, there's additional doors that would allow you to go before you go into the hallways where students are. So many layers of protection there. And so at this time, Great Hearts is, again, as we do every year, reviewing our safety plans, reviewing questions such as, armed security guards, those things. So I can share that's a constant conversation and something that's on the forefront. And I know for every family, they're going to probably have different questions and concerns on their hearts right now. Know that there's nothing more important than the safety of our children, and we're confident in the procedures that we've had. But I invite you, please, to just have one-on-one conversations too. I think it's really good to get to know each other, to hear where your concerns are, and to talk through that. Obviously, there's concerns on our end about publicizing the details of all of our safety plans, right? There's certain things we do need to keep confidential because they're part of keeping our campus safe. And if that were to go out publicly, right, then someone might be able to take advantage of that. So we just need to be vigilant in that respect. But please, it's something on our minds too. So feel free to talk to us anytime about that.
Yeah, I would absolutely, to note that safety right now is our number one priority. And one of the benefits of having our campus being built during this time is that we've been able to implement and build even into our physical campus some of the most up-to-date recommendations for maintaining a higher degree of safety for our families. Stephen's already mentioned a few of those. From the front office to just the campus layout. So we're grateful that we get to do that, but we know that this is a very, very important thing. And so I would just encourage you, if you're an enrolled parent at Great Hearts Roosevelt, Headmaster Philibom and myself are always available to sit down with you, whether it's in person, on Zoom, on the phone call, to walk through any concerns that you have. And we've done that already with parents. And again, I think it's just part of our a desire to partner with you well, to make sure that there's communication both ends, and to make sure that that we're being clear and we are showing that we're taking the safety of your children with the highest degree of responsibility. So much so that we call them our children, right, when we're on our campus together. And so please reach out to us independently if you're an enrolled parent, and we would love to just talk to you more about the things that are on your heart, your mind, and then what we're doing to make sure that those things are answered. So from there, we'll move on to the next question. How will lunch hour flow? I know that there are kindergarten through fifth grade, or every single grade level will have a dedicated time for lunch on our campus. Everybody will need to bring their own lunch, so that we'll make sure that is clear. We will have what's called a hot lunch program that you can participate in. But students will have an opportunity to sit together and eat lunch at designated times in what is the largest multi-purpose room in the network. It's 8,000 square feet. So we have plenty of space for all the students that are going to be on our campus. They'll be escorted from classroom to the MPR, and then from the NPR they'll be escorted to to the playground with whatever time is designated for them there, and then collected and then escorted right back to the classes. So that's typically just a general flow of lunch, class, NPR, playground, class, and we have times for everybody separating our archway students from our prep students.
Right. I think at this time, this is those are all the questions that we have, unless I'm missing anything here. Looking here with the buses. Thank you. Okay, there was a question about buses, transportation. So as a charter school, we are, frankly are not provided with the funding to kind of tap into that public transportation system, the buses, and so this would be something where we encourage families to stay connected. A lot of our families use carpools. We know that with many families working, the bus system's great. We're looking into early drop-off opportunities, for our students as well. So there are ways we try to accommodate, just commuting and navigating that together. But right now, drop-off time formally begins at 7:25 with, again, exploring the drop-off or the early drop-off right now that we've done in some of our academies at 7 a.m. And then pickup is as late as 3:45. And we also have an after-school program called Athenaeum, and it's a robust program with many extracurricular offerings that are kind of an extension of the school day in some respects, but also with less intensity, so our students can have a little more rest. And that goes to 6 o'clock. So those are some ways that we try to make sure that we work with family transportation questions. I think
if you're coming a little bit later, we did mention school day hours, and those are on our calendar, which there's a link on that we just added on Facebook with that calendar that'll give you the times for school drop off for the various grades. So kindergarten through 5th grade on full days are from 7:50 a.m. to 3:10 p.m. and prep is from 8 a.m. to 3:10 p.m. And on early release days, which is our Wednesdays, kindergarten through 5th grade is from 7:50 to 1:10, and then prep is from 8 to 1:10. And so we want to make sure that you guys are aware of those times so that you can plan accordingly. But if you need more detail, then we can add them to. You can look at the link at the website. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other questions here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add that there's going to be some opportunities to connect in more formal ways too. So we'll have an additional information night, which will probably geared pretty similar to this. So this is more an invitation if you have families who you think, hey, I really just have some friends or family who would like to learn more. We're going to have another one. I think the date's July 12th. We'll get that posted up there. Second, we actually have a couple summer meetups that we're planning. I know for the Archway side, we're looking at something second week of July. And Headmaster Cruz, I think you have something right around the corner here. Oh, I think, yeah, there you are.
Yeah. I was waiting. Yeah, if you're a 6th through 8th grade family, whether you're enrolled or not, on June 30th from 2 to 6 p.m., we will actually be hosting a free event at Main Event in Avondale. You can sign up, and really it's just an opportunity for us to get together in the summer while we just hang out and stay cool in the warm. So we would love to have you there. We'll post the link for the sign up in the comment box. But I would love to have you there if you're an enrolled 6th to 8th grader, or if you're not an enrolled 6th to 8th grader. We would love to have you. The good news is that there's still space in 7th and 8th grade for students at our campus. The good news, another way is that we've actually filled out our 6th grade sections, and so now there's a wait list. But we would love to have you get on the wait list. So if you have a 6th grade student and have not enrolled, that's okay. We would say apply anyways, get on that wait list, and then come to Main Event at Avondale. Even if you're not an enrolled family, we would love to meet you. We would love to have fun with you. It's a free event, like I said. We'll have 4 hours of play. We'll have a $10 gift card for arcades. We'll have 2 slices of pizza and a drink for every student. It's going to be a lot of fun, so we would love to have you there.
Excellent. Well, I think that brings us to the end. Hopefully not the end of our conversation together. So if you'd like to get to know the school better or us better, reach out. If you're at a point where you say, I know enough to know I want to get enrolled and get on the wait list, then great, do it. And we can continue the conversation. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And one last tiny plug, right before you go, you'll see that a link was just added for our newest addition to the Great Hearts family, which is Young Hearts. And so Great Hearts Roosevelt will be the home of the first ever Great Hearts preschool, Young Hearts Academies. And so we're so thankful. There's going to be plenty of information you can get if you follow the link to Young Hearts Preschools at greatheartsamerica.org, I believe is that, and enrolling 3 and 4-year-olds. So that's something you can learn a little bit more about as well. So we'll leave that for you there. But thank you so much. It was a pleasure being with you tonight. And we wish you the best and a restful summer if we do not hear from you.
I think just the feeling we got walking through the school. Like, there's no bells and whistles, there's no computer lab, but you can feel the energy and you can feel the joy in the kids in the classrooms. And my husband and I both looked at each other and were like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, we found our school.
Our kids were actually attending a public school, elementary school, down the street. We were looking for a more challenging environment for our kids. We didn't know what we were getting into. But literally within the first semester, we were all in.
As a public school educator for so many years, I was a never charter person. I realize now in hindsight that I had been fed a lot of propaganda about charter schools. And when I started actually researching it, I learned, it's really what is best for the education of each child.
At Great Hearts, we love to form the hearts and minds of students through the pursuit of the true, the good, and the beautiful. Our students are going to read great books, from Frog and Toad in first grade to the Brothers Karamazov in their senior year.
We took a look at that book list and we were sold.
One thing that we had found in our public school experience is that we were constantly monitoring what our children were being assigned to read. And we really loved the book list at Great Hearts because we knew we were confident that they were being presented with material that was incredibly rich and would really trigger their imaginations and their love of learning.
The distinction of Great Hearts, as we saw it at that point, was that it would have diversity that private schools didn't have, but then also an excellence in curriculum that typically one would not find in a public school.
Our aim is to raise up virtuous young men and women who have a sense of purpose and vision, who are endowed with a sense of destiny that's been shaped by the great conversation, and who are equipped to live it out.
Great Hearts does an incredible job of uniting and marrying the intellectual formation with moral formation.
One of the great things about Great Hearts is that it appeals, instead of what is most base in our human nature, it appeals to what is the highest.
For me, education isn't just about what you're learning in class, that academic-wise. It's the building and forming of character.
They're going to study and pursue those ennobling and lasting things with teachers who are intellectually, morally, and aesthetically alive.
The teachers at Great Hearts set an exemplary example. They go above and beyond in also demonstrating these virtues in their own lives.
There's so much to love about Great Hearts, but it all starts in the classroom. What I love about teaching is being in the classroom with my students.
This is a classical education, and for generations it's only been available at elite private schools. But we seek to make it available to all families, at least to all families who are willing to go on the journey with us.
One thing that we were pleasantly surprised with, actually, when we got to Great Hearts, is that not only is the curriculum itself unifying in that it all coheres, but it also is unifying in that it brings diverse students from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different cultures, and it unifies them through the pursuit of truth and through the reading of excellent material.
All the riches of the liberal arts, those which set their soul free, these are their rightful inheritance, their intellectual inheritance, and we endeavor to give them their initial possession of it.
I was initially drawn to STEM type schools because I thought I love science and technology and engineering and math. What I found out is that most of those schools really aren't STEM. What they are is giving kids a screen, which I don't think the science shows help them learn very well. But Great Hearts is they emphasize science and engineering and math. They give them all those things that actually will make them technology workers. So I think Great Hearts, even though it doesn't advertise itself as STEM, is truly one of the deepest STEM schools that you could go to.
We're going to an elite private school without the $30,000 price tag.
As a professor in a liberal arts college, I had met a few of the graduates from the Arizona schools that came, and they were impressive.
Great Hearts was the best decision we could make for our students' education.
As we continue to grow, we invite you to join us for the journey.